in this world of wonder. Circle where we all belong. Voice of 1,000 tribes. Tunza. Circle where we all belong.
Where we all belong.
Pulse of the human heart. Tunza. Circle where we all belong.
Where we all belong.
Circle where we all are free. Circle where we all belong.
Where we all belong.
Where we all belong. Where we all belong. We heard it from Mandela. Turn this world around for the children. Turn this world around.
Hi, I'm Jan Roberts, Executive Director of Earth Charter USA Communities Initiatives, and I want to tell you about the Earth Scouts. First, I want you just to take a moment to imagine a community in which all the children and youth value and appreciate one another, participate in activities that help their home, their community, and their schools, have a sense of awe and wonder of nature and the universe, seek peaceful solutions to problems. These are not idealistic notions. This is the foundation for the Earth Scouts, an organization that is being developed in Tampa, Florida, by volunteers all around the country. It is based on the Earth Charter, an international declaration of interdependence that was written by thousands and thousands of people over the course of 12 years, people in 77 countries. The Earth Charter weaves together their hopes and their dreams for a more caring and more sustainable world. The Earth Scouts could not come at a more critical time. A survey that was done by Public Agenda in 2002, and survey among many parents, showed that parents today are very, very concerned about the harmful messages and influences that put their children not only in harm's way, but in real danger. And they believe that these messages and these influences can be mitigated by children learning the values of cooperation and caring for one another. And that's what the Earth Scouts is about. Earth Scouts is for both boys and girls, ages 3 to 13. And children have been involved in the development of the Earth Scouts, and they have been very vocal in the fact that the Earth Scouts has to have badges, and so we are in the process of developing badges. And they also say that they wanted to do the slogan, which is changing the world one fun badge at a time. The badges are being developed by volunteers, and that includes a curriculum developer and a writer and a mom who are working together, pooling their talents and their energies to put together badges that will both inspire children with the different principles of the Earth Charter, have them understand that principle, and also engage them in an activity that will have them make that principle come alive in their school or their home or their community. But as the children say, the Earth Scouts is about the principles and values of the Earth Charter written this way: love nature and clean up your mess, play fair and learn to share. Everyone deserves to be heard. Everybody matters, so be kind to others. And those are the values and principles upon which the Earth Scouts is based. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of the Earth Scouts. It came about after the Earth Charter Community Summit in Tampa, Florida in 2002. I was giving a speech in an organization here in Tampa, and I just mentioned, wouldn't it be great if we started something like the Earth Scouts? And community members got very, very interested in that. In 2003 at the Earth Charter Community Summit, there was an Earth Scouts Festival that was coordinated by Katie Templin Colbert. And it was a very, very rocking festival in which parents learned about the Earth Charter and kids really engaged in activities.
These are the passports that the kids get when they walk in the door. Here, let me see yours, Sonny. All right, you got yours all done. We did the democracy, and the economic justice, the peace, and nature. And then what happens when you get them all done? You got your big Earth Scout sticker.
Cloud Weissman, a curriculum specialist, was very important in the development of the activities. And the activities covered all the different principles of the Earth Charter. For instance, the principle on participatory democracy was demonstrated with kids making buttons that they could wear in which they would put a message about the Earth Charter on that button, making their voice heard. They also did bumper stickers out of contact paper, and then they wrote letters here in Florida to Governor Bush as well as to Mayor Pam Iorio about what their concerns were, especially their concerns about the environment. And they mailed these letters at the summit and in fact have received an answer back from Mayor Iorio. They also had activities on other principles of the Earth Charter. There was one on nature and being connected to nature, and the kids just loved that, where they took a cotton ball, sprayed a little water on it, put a radish seed in the cotton ball and in a little plastic bag, and then a yarn through the plastic bag, and then hung it around their neck. And as they went through the day, the heat of their body made the seed come to life and sprout. So the children could see their interconnection with nature itself in a very viable way. They also did activities on recycling, so the importance of recycling. Another activity on peace and nonviolence was a peace wall. They stretched butcher paper across the auditorium where the children were, and they wrote messages of peace in big markers. And then at the end of the day, there was a silent gathering as the children walked along the butcher wall and read the messages for peace. Another activity on economic justice was called the game show, and this had a profound effect, especially on older children. There were consumer items on display with price tags hidden, such as a pair of sneakers or a game that a child would like, as well as food items like flour and sugar. And the children then each got an allowance card and jars of pennies in which they had to spend on those items. And they guessed how much the item would cost, and they would put so many pennies in front of each item. And then at the end of the game, it was revealed how much that item would cost in America, in the United States, or how much that item would cost in the developing world. And what they found was that in the third world, there was a huge amount of money that had to be spent on basic living ingredients for food, whereas in America, there was more money for the consumer items. There were other economic justice activities as well, but this one seemed to have an especially profound effect. All in all, it was a day that was fun for the kids, inspiring for the children, and the parents learned a lot too. And as a result of the Earth Scouts Festival, we had many parents volunteering to become involved in the Earth Scouts.
I'm really excited to introduce you to Kelly Lepardo. Kelly has been a science teacher in middle school for several years, as well as the mother of a 4-year-old daughter named Sophie and a 7 months old Elio. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And she has been volunteering with the Earth Scouts in Tampa for the last 2.5 years. So I'd like for you to find out a little bit more from Kelly about what the Earth Scouts is really about and what we're doing with it here. And we'll also talk a little bit about it nationally. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
All right, suppose you start with what your role has been here with the Earth Scouts.
Well, I went to an Earth Scouts festival right about the time that some friends and I had wanted to transform our playgroup into something that was more formal and enriching for the kids. We thought about it being a homeschool, but we wanted it to be something more fun. And we had just come across a flyer for the Earth Scouts Festival, and that just sounded fabulous.
Yeah.
It sounded like, let's go become Earth Scouts. So I went to the festival intending to do that. walked away from the festival with all kinds of ideas and a nice packet about how people could start their own group. And I started my group and told
No, the
everybody.
first thing you did, well, I don't know if it was the first thing, but it seemed like the Monday right after the summit, you appeared in my living room.
I came to the follow-up meeting to let
Right.
everybody know I'd like to start it, and suddenly found out that I would be the first one. There wasn't a group yet, even though the festival was fabulous. Made
Yeah.
it look like Earth Scouts had been going on for years. But my role was basically to be undaunted by that. So luckily, my background prepared me to go ahead and be the first to do something like this. And that's what it needed.
I know you started when there was very little available. By the time this show appears on TV, you will have been our paid consultant for 3 months to organize the materials and really put together a really good manual. So I just want to relieve anxiety out there that you aren't all going to be starting fresh. But this is Kelly's story, so let's go back to that.
Basically, I think I just tried to speak confidently about Earth Scouts because I think that everybody just needs just the name of it, Earth Scouts, I think immediately grabs almost all the parents that I speak to about it. Because a lot of them have had their own experiences with either Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, and as parents they're thinking, as their kids get older, they're going to do something like that. So you put the word Scout on it, and that's obviously it brings that to mind.
Right.
So they want to know, well, this is something new. In Earth Scouts, a lot of the people that I meet are already concerned about the role that their children are going to play in the world as they grow older, that it's going to be a positive role, that basically Earth brings to mind that we can't just focus on our own immediate communities anymore, that we're interrelated with everybody on the planet in all different kinds of ways, from politically to economically to environmentally, and it's just an awareness that is sinking deep down into everyone's soul at this time of our lives right now. So when you put the two together, Earth and Scouts, I think everybody intuitively knows that it's about a child learning how to be a positive caretaker of the Earth.
And when we're talking about Earth, we're talking again about the Earth Charter vision of the Earth, which means all life on the planet, economically, socially, as well as environmentally. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Summer Series that you have put together now? You're going to be doing it again this year, but you've got like a 6-week program?
It can be done 6 to 8 weeks. It was basically an overview of the Earth Charter in kid bite-sized pieces. And so unlike what I see as an Earth Scouts experience from year to year, where it would be fairly involved in each topic of the Earth Charter, we just kind of, like I said, we condensed it so that you'd get each aspect. And so we did Peace and Nonviolence, which is 2 week segment. Each 2 weeks we did 1 week was a learning experience where we introduced the idea of this Earth Charter principle, and we did either puppet plays or art projects or stories, something to get the children's interest and generate a discussion. The second follow-up week was always an action. We would call it an action, trying to build on the idea that Earth Scouts don't just learn about things or not just concerned about things, but they do something about what they're concerned about or move concern into action. So for Peace and Nonviolence, we saw a puppet play about Bunny Foo-Foo, who bops bunnies on the head.
I always thought that was a terrible song.
Kids love it though, and it makes them giggle, and you learn when you're laughing. So we changed the ending a little bit, so we brought a symbol into it of a balloon, and the Good Fairy actually teaches Bunny Foo-Foo, instead of just don't bop bunnies on the head, she teaches them a way to feel more peaceful, because especially kids, they all do it from time to time. They hit somebody or break something, and so they could all relate to Bunny Foo Foo,
So
that they
how
might
did-
do it. So she teaches them with a balloon to practice pretending like they're taking a deep breath, like they're blowing up a balloon, and to take that moment to calm down. And so we took that symbol of a balloon that they learned about in the action week, and we had a big bundle of blue balloons. And we tied little "Just Be Nice" tags onto them, and the kids passed them out in the park. And these are, 4 to 7-year-old kids, and it wasn't any more complicated than that. And that was them bringing peace into their community.
And it was also the conversations that you had within the group and the planning and the kids being involved in doing that. There was another good example I thought you did. Well, you've done a lot, but I've heard the story before about the Little Red Hen.
We did a caring and sharing segment. So we took the whole Earth Charter principles about economic justice and social human rights, and we put that all into just a little phrase of caring and sharing to put it at their level. And we took the Little Red Hen story to talk about sharing work, that everybody needs to do some of the work. And that was the learning segment for that. We'd also combined Yertle the Turtle, which was also part of the learning segment for this action. And in Yertle the Turtle, the Turtle King wants to be on top of everybody and be king of everything he can see. So we all made little pillow turtles, and we stacked them up, and one child got to be at the bottom of the pillow stack. And this is the turtle that you're supposed to relate to as being oppressed in the Dr. Seuss story, because he gets more and more and more stacked on top of him, and finally he sneezes and everything falls down, and Turtle King is king of the mud. And you get sympathy for who's at the bottom of the stack. And that was this, we didn't get any more complicated than that. And starting to have kids think about, well, what's it like to be at the bottom of anything,
Right.
So, like I said, we keep it simple because they're just starting out. And then the action was to make little gift baskets for our garbage collectors. And because
Which
of those
came about out of a conversation, right? About
Right.
valuing people's work. and
Right,
what
because they
do.
could connect with the Little Red Hen that everybody needs to do some work. They can connect that garbage collecting is not very good work. It's kind of like being at the bottom of a turtle stack, somebody's got to do it, and they should be appreciated, not just squashed like the turtle is being squashed. So kind of just in this very subtle, childlike way. And we don't really have deep conversations. We just gave them the stories, and then we did the action and let them talk about, well, what would it be like to be a garbage collector? And they kind of do it themselves. You don't need to draw all the connections about how this is like oppression in other countries, and you don't have to do that yet.
That reminds me of a story about the training that was done in Costa Rica for the city employees in the city of San Jose. And an unexpected benefit that came out of that whole training with, 3,200 employees or something, was that the trash collectors ended up feeling a real sense of pride in the work that they were doing, because they could see that the work that they were doing was really truly contributing importantly to the health of the planet, and they had never had that picture of their work before. So those are some of the activities from the summer series that you've done in the past. You've also done a training packet for facilitators who are interested. Can you just hit on a couple of highlights from that?
We've got little flyers that not even other people have put together. So there's clip art, there's flyer type things you can use to advertise that you want to get a program started. I kind of kept copies of the meeting announcements to get parents to come to hear about Earth Scouts, the syllabus. I describe all of the 8 weeks of activities that you can do in the summer. I've described them in a way that the parents can read, as well as just describing them in detail for whoever would be facilitating and actually getting the materials to put them together. There's references to the Earth Charter as it's been rewritten for children to understand.
Yeah, that's an excellent charter too, and very, very, very needed. I want to mention a few other people who are not here today who have been involved in developing some of the materials, and you know them and have met at least one of them. Sue Carter, who is a curriculum developer down in Sanibel, has developed lesson plans for pre-K through 5th grade, I think, on all the different principles. It's a work in progress. It's being like your work. It's a sample of what you could do. Please build on it. Make it as exciting as you want. And Sue is very open to any feedback about that. And that was used as the beginning for a group in Portland, Oregon, with Pam Wood and the others out there, who actually at this point in time have been doing Earth Scouts for 9 months out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have parent notes from their meetings too, for people to see what it was like, the first meeting, the minutes, and run all the way through that. So I'm saying all that because I want you guys out there to know that there's help available if you want to get something going with Earth Scouts. And we're going to come back to the structure, what Earth Scouts will be, in just a minute. So there are materials available. There's also conference calls. That's for
Those have been really exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've had new ideas each time we've done it.
Yeah.
And it's nice because you get input from lots of sources and it kind of explodes into this creative bursts. So I look forward to those.
Oh, good, because you're critically important on the call. Because let's just go to your vision for a moment for Earth Scouts, because Kelly did a presentation the other day on Earth Scouts for our board of directors, and it was there that I heard her long-term vision for Earth Scouts that hadn't even dawned on me, but was such a beautiful idea. So do you want to tell them what eventually this will all lead to? And just dream big here.
I'm surprised it didn't. I never think that this is just me. I always assume that
Oh, don't do that.
everybody probably is thinking this too. It just seems natural for a group to do this. But I definitely see. When I was a Girl Scout, Girl Scouts went, through high school, and then we did summer camp, and you were a counselor. I always had these role models of older even adults that were part of Girl Scouts. So it was natural for me to assume Earth Scouts would be part of your whole life. But for me, as someone who wants to be active in their community, active for positive change, it's hard. I move a lot, and it's hard to find a community to support me in that. So I guess that's why naturally I was looking at Earth Scouts and wow, my kids, they'll grow up with other kids that care about doing something about what they're concerned with, about making the world a better place, and believing that they actually can. They don't have to wait till they're grown up. They don't have to wait until they're a senator. And if they're not, a congressman or senator, then they really can't do anything except vote. To really look at themselves as full-fledged participants in this globe, with lots of opportunities for being able to interact in a positive way with the way the world is evolving. And that they would have childhood friends that had been doing it with them as through each stage of their development.
Or even if, like you said earlier, if you move, you have this network. You just have to plug into.
Yes, you just call up the local Earth Scouts chapter,
Right.
and you've got this culture, a shared culture of people that are concerned about Earth Charter principles, and don't want to just wait for somebody else to do something about them. They believe they have the power to do something.
Now, we've had this discussion, but I'd like for you to talk a little bit about it. How do you envision the structure of Earth Scouts? Do you see this as a formal scouting organization with the hierarchical structure where you pay money to join, or how do you see this working?
Because right now it needs to be very open and flexible to all kinds of creative input, so that it will grow and everybody can feel a part of it, that it's not just one narrow idea. I just see it continuing that way, that there will not be a point where it's closed off and now it becomes a package that, if somebody calls up and says, how do I do Earth Scouts, you get this manual and make sure you follow the manual because, we don't like it when people deviate. It will be the complete opposite of that.
So it's going to be informal.
And
an
informal,
open,
yes.
organic, slightly structured.
Yeah, I mean the word
program.
grassroots is used all of the time, and just take a moment and think of grassroots in its most spiritual way. You know, not just in the way it's thrown around as the opposite of something that's more officially organized, but grassroots as like, just picture real shoots of grass coming up under your feet, and that it grew from the earth. That's what it is. It's really inspired from kids and from the people doing it.
I love you, Kelly. I do. Before we stop, I just want you to take a minute and talk about the Earth Scout festivals. When do they occur? How do they happen? I mean, what happens
They're in
there?
conjunction with the Earth Summits, which is
Earth
a way
Charter
to Earth
Community
Charter
Summits.
Community. Thank you. Earth Charter Community Summits, and that's in October. But you know better.
Second
which-
Saturday of
second
every
Saturday
October. Yeah.
Every October, and this will be the third coming up. The third Earth Scouts portion of that event to happen, and maybe there will be the first Earth Scouts Festival in some other states this October.
I think that's going to happen. Just so folks know, the Earth Scouts is sprouting. I mean, I have many people who are waiting for these materials, but there are people now taking, because we have enough to get started, and so there are people that get on the conference call from Spokane and from Detroit and from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, and Texas. So it's really in California. I mean, it's growing out there, and there's wonderful adults, all parents, I believe, at this point in time, who are getting involved in making it happen. Well, Kelly, thanks for being here today and talking about Earth Scouts. I'm so glad you're part of it.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it. It's going to be a great adventure.
And you're saying about Earth Scouts, it's how you always used to end your emails.
I think Earth Scouts is inevitable. I think kids want it and need it, and the world needs it, and
That's right.
it's going to happen.
Earth Scouts is inevitable. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kids just naturally get the Earth Charter. Raffi, the songwriter I told you about earlier, was at a conference, a sustainability conference in Canada, in which he asked children ages 3 to 15 a series of questions to identify what makes life worthwhile for them. And his first question was, what makes you happy inside? And the children and youth answers very much demonstrate the connection they naturally feel, not only to one another, but to all of nature. Their answers were things like the sun, good, kindness, friends, mountains, seashores, bugs, Halloween, dogs, animals, mud, those kinds of things. And then there was a question about what kind of world do you want to live in? And the children said things like, I wish our world was safe. I wish there were no more wars. I wish we had a world where the animals could talk. I wish we had a world in which the animals were not killed. I wish we had a world where everyone was happy. And that is what the Earth Scouts are about. If you want to become involved in the Earth Scouts or know more about it, you can go to www.earthscouts.org, or you can email info@earthscouts.org, or call our toll-free number 877-287-4246.